Hey guys, how's it going today? Just on my way home, right? Beautiful day out, lovely day. Gotta talk about some grim subject matter. What's banging around in my head today? The Minneapolis shooting, right? There's been a shooting in Minneapolis. It's left a 20-year-old male, black of course, dead. If you want to believe the police's narrative on this one, which I don't know why we would believe the police's narrative, but let's believe the police's narrative on this one. They handcuffed this gentleman, right? They had him outside of his vehicle, handcuffed, and there was a scuffle, and one of the police officers grabbed hold of what they thought was their taser. Turned out it was a pistol. They pulled it out and shot the guy with the intention of tasing him. This is a tragedy, right? Yet another tragedy at the hands of the police. Yet another complete disaster brought on, and probably for nothing, right? Probably another one of these quote-unquote routine traffic stops that turns around and ends up being yet another black man murdered at the hands of the police. At what point are we going to start doing something about this and actually saying, hey, maybe we should disarm these guys, right? Maybe we should disarm the police. But if you say, hey, we should disarm the police, well, then they take the mask off and they really start telling you what they think of you, right? Because the police are pretty upfront about what they think about the populace, right? The police are pretty upfront about how they view the populace. They view the populace as a danger, as a threat, as something to be oppressed and suppressed for, because if they weren't, right, if they weren't treated like violent criminals at the offset, if they weren't treated as something to be dominated, if they weren't treated to be something to be controlled, well, then the populace would turn into a murderous horde, obviously, right? This is the backbone of the police's ideology. They do not view us as allies. They do not view us as comrades. They do not view us as friends or neighbors, right? They view us as an outside force that they need to protect themselves from. And it's very obvious, it's very clear. Otherwise they'd stop murdering us. Otherwise they'd stop putting themselves into positions. And like, for goodness sakes, to become a cop in the United States has now become it's a national embarrassment, right? It's a complete disgrace. You need to have more training as a McDonald's manager, right? Like, if you want to become a cop in the United States, a couple of weeks of training, here's your badge, here's your gun, off you go, right? You need to be trained longer than that to become a manager at like friggin' McDonald's. It's unbelievable. And we're giving these people weapons that they get to use in the public, like they get to carry around guns just in the public sector, to just like lean in on people's doors, be like, hey, how you doing today? I have a gun on my hip and I could shoot you in a moment, sometimes on accident. And like, what's the point of them having these pistols? What's the point of them having these guns, right? Like, they have other weapons, they have other ways of dealing with this. They have tasers, which they mistake for guns, according to them, right? What do they need these guns for? Like, how often is it legitimately the case that they need to be pulling out these weapons and pointing them at people, right? For real. This is a question that I would love to see answered. I'd love to see this question answered. How often is it that these guys actually draw their weapons and it's actually meaningful and it actually matters and you're actually supposed to do it? I worked in retail for 15 years, right? I'm likely to go back to retail after all this COVID stuff is done. Like, I would never hire a cop. I need people who de-escalate, right? I need people who de-escalate the situation. I need people who take a look at these situations and go, okay, we need to find equality with one another, right? One of the things that has always worked for me in my retail career, right? Hey, I'm trying to work through this too with you, right? I'm sorry about the situation that we're in, right? But we're both in this together and I'm trying to work through it. And once you let them know that you're on their side and you're both in the same spot attempting to find a resolution, right? It de-escalates the situation. What do cops do, right? Sir, I need you to calm down. Sir, I need you to calm down. Sir, I need you to listen to me because I'm talking like a big man who has authority over you because I have a gun on my hip. Well, you're supposed to keep your hands on your steering wheel. Oh, here's some pepper spray for you, by the way. Like, do you think that's escalation or do you think that's de-escalation? And this, before I get into this next part, if you're one of these people that dumps out of these videos around this time, please leave a like, please leave a subscription, right? We need more power in leftist voices. We need more leftists telling the truth and speaking up, because there's too many far right-wing quacks and lunatics on the internet who are clogging up the discourse with their nonsense, right? Please leave a like, please leave a subscription. Thanks for coming. Good luck out there. You're gonna need it. For the rest of us, like, this is an endemic social issue, right? And this is an endemic social issue that seems unique to capitalism. That seems like, but specifically American capitalism, which is like hard-nosed, rugged, far-right capitalism. Because there are other capitalist nations in the world. They're not having police just randomly shooting black men, right? They're not having police randomly shoot citizens all the time, right? They're not having, getting into the wider discussion about guns, right? They're not having, like, school shootings. They're not having, like, constant, like, almost monthly events, like, almost weekly events, where people are just getting shot and gunned down regularly. This indicates a society that is in complete freefall decay. As I've been saying on this channel all the time, right? Hi, I'm the Canadian commie, right? I believe that capitalism is a failed system that cannot be reformed. It needs to be replaced with superior systems that actually work. And because corporate capitalism obviously doesn't. How do I know? Because the police force, the force that's supposedly there for order, is gunning down people in the streets, right? Even if we accept that in this case it was incidental or accidental, right? Even if we accept that, which I don't think we should, but even if we do, right? It still speaks to like a larger corrosion that exists within the society where a person is fumbling around for a gun because, or for a weapon, to what? Are they defending themselves? No, the guy's in handcuffs, right? The guy's in handcuffs. Like, what is he, a ninja, right? He's a 20-year-old in handcuffs, right? Struggling. There's two of you. What are you grabbing the weapon for in the first place, right? What are you grabbing the weapon for in the first place? You're not doing it to defend yourself. You're doing it to finish the situation. You're doing it to put him down, right? And we know that's true. We know that's the case. And even if you accept that's the case, why is the gun in play at all? Why is there a gun there? Did he have a gun? Did he have the even have the potential for a gun while he was handcuffed? Like, and the reality is that America is a war culture, right? It's a culture that is at war. It's not only at war with the entire rest of the world, right? The Middle East, South America, China, Russia, right? It's not only at war with the entire rest of the world, it's at war with itself, right? It's in this constant, eternal war with itself that is so pernicious and so deep that it even goes into the day-to-day life, right? Your day-to-day life is a struggle and a war. Like, and these police who are willing to shoot people in the streets are their defenders, right? Every day you go to a job you hate, and your labor gets stolen from you by somebody you've never met, right? And you get paid a subsistence wage. Like, if you're not at war in this situation, right? Or if you don't think you are at war in this situation, then you're on the side of the oppressor. It's very clear. It's very obvious to those of us who are dealing with the abandonment and the fallout from these police actions, right? Like, we're not happy with what's going on, and moreover, we're not going to take it lying down, right? We're not going to be complacent. We're not going to just stay silent while police officers are shooting people in the streets, right? And so immediately, of course, people in Minneapolis start to gather and protest, and immediately that starts to get cleared by violent police brutality and violent police force, right? Because the police understand that if people start to gather and actually protest, then things actually get done. And the capitalist class is not interested in that. The capitalist class is not interested in even the slightest of reforms, right? Which is why we can't get sick days here in Ontario, which is why we can't have like the most basic rational conversation about the most basic obvious things, and which is why the capitalists and why capitalist apologists can't, like, just today I was talking to somebody about how the phrase how are you going to pay for that is propaganda, right? It is propaganda. How do you think we're going to pay for that? There's literally hundreds of billions of dollars sitting in offshore accounts that have been extracted from the economy, acting as a boil and a parasite on the side of the economy. How do you think we're going to pay for that? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, this is where we're getting to this point, that we have these people in our society who to maintain the integrity of their belief in a failed system, a failed and dead ideology, which is capitalism, they have to live in a fairy tale magical land of delusion, where they believe that a man who, a police officer who guns somebody down, oh, that's just a bad apple, right? Oh, that's just a bad apple. It's not, that's gonna happen. Humans are humans, right? All that kind of stuff. Certainly, it has nothing to do with systemic oppression in order to maintain a calcified and zombified and parasitical system that needs to be shown the door, right? Needs to be shown the door. Like, it needs to go in the dustbin of history, just like the divine right of kings, just like the chiefdoms, just like the slave systems of old, right? We need to get rid of corporate capitalism. And once you get rid of this highly oppressive wage slave based system, you're going to find that the police are suddenly going to be like, well, people are calmer, people are less aggravated, people are less prone to do crime in the first place. Why? Because we're taking care of people. Like just today, Aaron O'Toole, yesterday rather, makes the statement that he's aghast at the proposal for a basic income. Like, that's why you're never going to be the leader of the country, man. Like, if you don't think the role of governance, if you don't think the role of governance is to provide the bare necessities for the public, especially while the private sector, who we have ceded that authority to, refuses to do it, or is at least incapable of doing in any meaningful way, then you don't get to be the governor. You don't get to be a leader. And there are literally people who live in our society who believe that there should be, people should not have food and shelter, right? If you believe that, you're Red Skull. Very simple. If you believe that there are people, for any reason whatsoever, you can create any reason and rationale in your head. If you believe that people should not have food and shelter, then you have the ideology of the Red Skull. And you need to no longer be speaking in the society. And if you're still going to stand up in front of me and say that a man who was in handcuffs deserved even to be tased, right, let alone be shot, I think you might want to look in the mirror there, bud. Like, I think you might want to have a big, long conversation with yourself about what the world is and your place in it. Because you might want to think about which side of the conversation you're actually finding yourself on. Okay, this is the end of this conversation, guys. Oh, man, what a time to be alive. What a ridiculous world we live in. Where just like, if you get pulled over by the policeman, the gun is in play. You can be shot, right? That's real. That's just the truth. If you call for the supervisor, they're not going to do it. They're going to pepper spray you, right? They're going to tase you, maybe shoot you, right? And that's just the reality of talking to the police. That's the reality of it. And if you're a police officer and you're listening to this and you're thinking that I'm, telling tales out of school, too bad for you. Too bad for you, right? This is what the world thinks. This is what is happening. And if you don't like it, then you might want to think about your place in the world too. Okay, guys, you guys are all doing wonderfully out there. I know you are, right? These are high-level, ridiculous things, and they're not going to get any better. Like, this isn't going to get any better anytime soon, right? The decline of the society is in front of us right now, and you're doing wonderfully with it. I know you are. Okay? Do your best. Try your hardest. Believe in yourself. You are a divine being walking around this plane of reality, interacting with other divine beings, right? Good luck. We're going to need it.